Good morning, YouTube. Reseller Mom here. Welcome to today's video. We are doing another video about ungating. I did a video last week called Talking About Ungating, but I felt like maybe we should sit down at the computer and go through some actual examples of ungating, show you exactly what I'm talking to on the computer. So you're not going to see my face today. It's early in the morning. I'm drinking some coffee here. But I put together these slides to show you exactly walking through how to get ungated for things in Amazon. So this is all about Amazon, only Amazon. It should, I put FBA in the title here, but it's for FBA, FBM, anything you are selling on Amazon. It doesn't matter if it's fulfilled by Amazon or if you're merchant fulfilling, you will need to be ungated in particular things to sell them. So let's get started. The first thing I like to start my videos off with is dates, and that's because Amazon is constantly changing, unfortunately. And so what I tell you today may not be applicable by the time you see this, and you need to understand that with everything you do Amazon. You may read the boards. I highly suggest reading the forums, the boards, Facebook groups, etc. But keep in mind that if somebody says you can use X invoice for something and you go and do it, things may have changed and you may not, you're either not submitting it correctly or they're not accepting invoices from that company anymore. And that has happened. I have seen a lot of changes over the years with Amazon. Some things, let's see here, like clothing used to be gated when I started, but I could use Safeway receipts to get ungated in grocery, health, and beauty. That is completely changed right now. So, today, did I say it? We're in February 9th. It's Tuesday. I got a lot of things to do. Year 2021. But let's get started with an overview of what types of ungating there are. Three types of ungating for Amazon. You've got your category, your brand, and your ASIN. So for my clothing example, when I started out, clothing was a gated category. Nike would be a gated brand, and then a particular shoe by Nike might be additionally locked down from selling. When you are starting off with Amazon, there will be a lot of things you can sell and a lot of things it may feel like that you cannot sell. So when you are just getting started, there's kind of two paths you can take. You can wait until you're naturally ungated in these things with your application, or you can provide Amazon with the required invoice to get ungated. Keep in mind that if you get ungated for a particular brand, but you are still locked down for that category, you may see that you could sort of sell it, but when you go to sell it, you're not going to be able to because you're gated in that category. Take for example a Hasbro toy. Hasbro is going to be a locked brand, but you may be locked down for toys. Now you should be able to use an invoice that is for Hasbro toys and get unlocked for both, but it will be two separate submissions, and you need to do, hopefully they're the same thing and the same invoice will work, but keep that in mind. Next, here I have a slide on the Facebook groups that I am part of. I went ahead and pulled them because I do get asked this quite often. I'm not part of a whole lot of groups, and some of them are fairly new, like I just joined Perry and Kim's FBA Corner based off of a recommendation, but some of these groups are really, really good. The thrifting board is mainly eBay, but I do like keeping up on anything happening eBay. When I say you should follow boards and Facebook groups, that's kind of my go-to place to learn what's going on with Amazon and be up in the know-how. Just recently this month, Squishmallows started doing a bunch of IP complaints, and I learned about it from these boards here. When people have good luck ungating with a particular website or wholesaler, I usually get that information from Facebook or Instagram posts. Any of these groups are great to join. I don't have any particular ones that I would direct you to or say are better than the other, aside from the bottom one here. Amazon seller performance, suspensions, rights owner, and legal issues. It's a mouthful of a name, but they are a very large group, and they deal with a lot of the legality issues and things going on. If you have a very bad suspension or a plan of action you want somebody to look over, a lot of people there are helpful and will give you a hand, and you can gain a ton of information from that group. So I would recommend that one for sure. The other ones are all good too, but my point is join some Facebook groups and Instagram groups that have information coming out. So, if all of a sudden, like I share as well, if I all of a sudden have an IP complaint against something, I like to post either on Instagram or Facebook what's going on with there. My own Facebook group, I do post things as well, but I don't really run a group. I like to just kind of belong to other groups because it is time consuming to run your own group. But I've had a lot of questions on what groups am I in or recommend. These are the ones I'm in. Full-Time FBA is another great source. Steve runs he's got blog posts and mailing list and YouTube videos and everything. His Facebook group is also a good one as well. By the end of this video, you will understand kind of why I'm going through all of these piece by piece. So, what is an invoice versus a receipt? The Wikipedia basically says an invoice is a request for payment and a receipt is proof of payment. So when Amazon is requesting an invoice, they mean invoice, and we're going to walk through exactly what needs to be on that invoice in a minute. If you are fighting or having to show proof of purchase, receipts will work on Amazon. So let's say you get an inauthentic claim or whatnot, and they want to see that you bought from an authorized distributor or whatnot, you can use a receipt. But if you are ungating in something and they ask for an invoice, they are requesting an invoice. Now, sometimes with other proofs, they do not accept receipts, and that's going to just be dependent on a lot of different things. But my lawyer recently told me that sometimes when they're saying receipts are okay, they may not be okay. Pardon me, I had to pause to cough there. The receipts may not be okay because they are looking to contact that vendor to make sure everything was good. And so they're not going to call Target to go over your receipt and whatnot. That's just not going to happen. So invoices is what you're looking for. Now, we're going to go over lots of things here. This next slide is about annotating your receipt should you need to show a receipt to Amazon. So this is not for ungating, but if you are doing retail arbitrage or whatnot, and you need to submit receipts to Amazon to show proof of purchase, you're going to have to annotate it like this. And this is by Nate McAllister, who is the runner. He runs one of those Facebook groups, and I can't remember which one off the top of my head, but I pulled this image from the internet, and I thought this was very good, and I really do like Nate's posts and whatnot. So, on the annotation, you go through and you spell it out so that there is no issues whatsoever. So you'll see that in the boards too. People are talking about annotating their receipts and how they submitted their receipts and how they submitted their invoices. So you will see that being talked about quite a bit when this topic comes up. Make sure you annotate correctly. Now, I've been told different things that doing it like this may work, but it's better to do it by hand. I'm not sure. If you do have a receipt, I would take a picture with it like this and do it digitally, but also maybe take another picture, print it out, and then do it with a marker and highlighter so that you have both both ways to annotate, and if one doesn't work, try the other. For invoices, this is what a basic invoice should look like. It is nice if the paperwork says invoice. It may or may not have invoice up there. It's going to have all of the company information, including their phone number and their website. You're going to have all your bill to information. You're going to have the items listed out here in detail and the amounts paid, etc. So this is what the general invoice will look like and that you are looking to get. You don't want to get something that looks like this receipt. That's not going to work. You're going to want to get something, piece of paper that looks like this. That's not to be confused with a packing slip. When your shipment ships, in the box is usually your packing slip, and that's for the warehouse to grab your order, see what's inside there. A lot of times the prices aren't on it. They grab your order, they put it in the box, they mark it off that they put it in the box, and then they ship it to you. The invoice, I usually have these come via email, but yesterday I got one in the mail. Sometimes the companies will send you both a paper copy and an email copy. It just depends on the company. But packing slips won't work usually. Now, sometimes you will get the invoice in the box, so be aware of what you're looking at, I guess, is at the end of that. And there are several different things that it could be, and you want to make sure you're submitting the invoice, not any sort of packing slip. We are going to go through what I'll call auto-approved example here. Auto-approval is when your account is mature enough to be automatically ungated in whatever you're asking for without providing an invoice to it. This is great. You should always be applying for anything that you are gated in whatsoever and following up with those applications at some sort of intervals. I tend to do mine about quarterly, but we're going to walk through that. So, yesterday I was out scanning. I did a video on that. That's got to be worked on later today and uploaded this week along with this video. But I noticed that I was gated in Dr. Teal's. That happens. I know I was ungated in Dr. Teal's not too long ago, but sometimes the brand locks down and you have to go get ungated in things. That happens. That's okay. But I'm letting you know right now that is a thing, that you can all of a sudden become regated in something because the brand has made some changes. There's also been times where new categories are formed or an item is recategorized and now you're gated for that category that it is now into. A lot of times I will do the application button on the app while I'm out at the store. So if you open up your Amazon seller app and you scan something, there's usually a little apply to sell button on that app, but this whole last 2 weeks it's been glitchy and not working. It gives you like some error page. I didn't show an example of that, but hopefully they get that fixed, and that's kind of easier to do. The other thing that I love doing is late at night I will just pop in whatever words in, well, now in a browser because the app isn't working, but usually in the app, and go through and just apply for anything that I can't sell. Type in something generic. Toys, board games, beauty, makeup, I don't know, something, anything. Sometimes I do red, blue, 1, 2, 3, it doesn't matter. And I'll just go through and I apply for things. And the more that you apply for and are able to sell, I feel that the more chances you will have to get auto-approved for other things. So in this example, I just typed in Dr. Teal because I noticed yesterday I couldn't sell it, and sure enough, I have this button right here, Apply to Sell. That's the button you want to be clicking on when you submit invoices and whatnot. So I hit Apply to Sell, and it says you need approval to sell Dr. Teal's branded in the beauty category in new conditions. We are not accepting applications to sell used refurbished collectible. That's pretty typical of a beauty item. You hit this request approval and boom, I got auto-approved without submitting an invoice. So it says, congratulations, your application has been approved, and it will tell you right here for what. So in this case, it's Dr. Teal's, which is a brand. If it was a category, you'd see the category. If it was an ASIN, it would be a particular ASIN right here. And it says, based on your performance history. What is that performance history, you ask? It is a secret formula made up of, in my guess, your sales, your returns, your voice of the customer, feedback, what types of items you have been selling, etc. So when I was first starting out in clothing, I was gated in clothing, or what was it? I can't remember, but somehow I got ungated in clothing. It's been so long, I can't remember. And I was gated for most of the brands, right? I was gated in Tommy and Calvin Klein and Bali and Nike and Under Armour. I was gated in everything I wanted to sell. So what I did was I went over to the sock department and I found socks that would make me a little bit of money, but they were clothing and they were ones that I could sell, and it was kind of the easiest way to go find brands that I could sell that weren't super expensive. And I started selling socks. And I believe that that showed Amazon that I could sell clothing. I knew how to package them. I knew how to make sure my customers were happy. And so then they said, okay, now you can sell other brands in there. And I got ungated for Tommy and Calvin Klein at first. And then I started selling those brands. And I could show that I was selling them well. And then I got ungated for Under Armour and Nike. Now, that's just my history. I have heard of people getting ungated for major things within 6 months, sometimes 2 years. I do believe that it's based on history. If you're just starting with this game and you're selling $30 worth of books a month, it's going to take you a while to build that performance history. If you're going from 0 to 10 grand a month, you may build that history a little bit faster. But nobody knows the exact answer on what this performance history is, and I do believe that it changes over time. I also believe that, like I said, one brand got locked down. I used to be able to sell Dr. Teal's, and now, for some reason, I'm gated. You have all of these changes. The same thing goes for things being more open up. Amazon may see that they have a high demand for Nike tennis shoes all of a sudden, and they don't have a whole lot of sellers, so they might be a little bit more lenient on letting new people into that brand. Okay, next, let's see here. So this is auto-approved. That's great. But what if you're not auto-approved? Well, we're gonna get to that. Hold on. Next slide is managing your applications. So let's say you're not auto-approved and it gives you an invoice or whatnot. You don't have that invoice right now, but you want to see where your applications are. I always go this way. You could bookmark it or whatnot, but I go to add a product and it's right here. Products requiring approval. Manage your selling applications, and you're going to get a page that looks like this. This is all of my applications. You can see I have 131 pages, and I think there's about 10 per page, so I have a lot of applications. But when I'm going through to look at the ones that I need to that I have an application for, you just click the draft, and then it will only show the ones that are in draft. The same thing if you want to see what you're approved for, or under review, or declined, category, brand, subcategory, ASIN. So when I'm going through my drafts, this is what I click. I click my drafts, and then like this application, I will right click and hit open in a new page, and I will just go through all my drafts and open them up. And sometimes I go and look at that page, and all of a sudden it will be automatically approved. Sometimes it won't, and I actually have a lot of drafts right now that are no longer applicable, like the ASIN's no longer there or whatnot. So I need to go through and create a case to delete them. I have heard that if you are getting ungated in something and you're having difficulty with them accepting the invoice, sometimes you have to go through and delete or close out the application. You have to do that in a case. So you'd go to Amazon, create a case, and you'd say, please shut down or close the application for Ball, in my applications, and then reapply. But I don't know. That I haven't experienced that. I just see it on the boards that is a tip if you are having difficulty. Okay, so we can see that yesterday on the 8th, I went ahead and applied for this because I was going to use that as my main example for this video, but I got automatically approved, so there we go. I went and did Snack Peak branded. I don't know what that is, but I got approved for it. Ball branded, I got Chahula down here. I think that's how you say it. But Ball is one that I really do want to get ungated. Canning is a great little niche to be ungated in. So what do? You click on this, go to application, and they wanted an invoice. I'm going to blow this up in the next screen here, but this is what it's going to look like if you need an invoice. You'll get something like this. Now there are other pages. Some you'll see require the new transparency image. I think it's what it's called. I didn't pull an example here, but this is what the page will look like when you are requesting to approve this brand of items. You need an invoice. It's also based off of this ASIN right here, and it's telling me I need to request approval for Ball. So let's blow this up because I know it looks probably tiny on your screen. I hope that looks okay on your guys' end, and you can read. When you are getting that invoice, it has to comply with all of these things. It has to be within the last 180 days. It has to have your name, your address matching your seller account. It has to have the name and address of the manufacturer. It has to show the combined purchase of at least 10 units. Now, what this means is, we'll say, for example, you're buying toys, and we'll say Hasbro again. You have to have 10 units of Hasbro. It can be different items, but they all need to be Hasbro if you're looking to get ungated in the brand for Hasbro. You can have an invoice that has all sorts of things on it and use that invoice for multiple ungates, but it would have to be different things. So you may have Hasbro and, say, Barbie on there. You can have 10 units of one and 10 units of the other, 20 units total, one invoice for 2 ungates. Omit pricing optional. Back in the day, whenever I submitted receipts for, when I did it back in the day when you could use receipts, the lady on the phone said my receipt got kicked back because I didn't blank out the pricing, and she said to blank it out and then resubmit, and it went through. So I don't know, you can try it without omitting, and then if it doesn't work, try it with blacking it out. Please note that they may verify the documentation by contacting the vendors. They do this. They will straight up call the vendor and ask them to verify the invoice. That does happen. When I talked the other day, I talked about not sharing invoices and not doctoring up with Photoshop. They have things to figure that out, and if they catch you, you will be banned. And that is like one of the hardest things to come back from, and you're going to be looking at a large lawyer bill and a lot of work to try and convince them that you will no longer Photoshop or doctor your invoices. They really, really don't want to work with people who do that. I have heard of other people that have shared invoices and it has worked and it has not worked, and that it worked for a while and then Amazon found out that they shared invoices and then they get banned. So I really don't recommend doing anything shady. Do it the right way. I'm showing you how to do it the right way, and honestly, it's not that difficult, guys. It may seem daunting, but we're walking through it step by step. Okay, name, address, matching your information. Don't buy it, on whatever your husband's account and have anything mismatching. It's got to all be matchy so that the person looking over it does not question it at all. Okay. I think we've beat this horse dead a few times there. So in my example, I want to sell Bell canning jars. What do you do? How do you find a vendor? Sorry if I'm a bit nasally this morning. I'm having bad allergies. It's pretty bad here. I have to keep pausing the video to blow my nose and drink my coffee here. So I want to get ungated for ball canning jars myself. So what I type into Google, wholesale ball canning jars. If you don't have any vendors or anybody that you currently work with that sell that brand that you know their invoices work, you're starting from the ground zero. I'm going to show you some wholesalers though. They're ones that I mentioned and have in the bottom of that video. But let's say you don't have any vendors, or it's, like ball. I don't have any vendors for ball. So looking through these things, the first couple of items here are advertisements. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't work. But for examples in this video here, I picked number 1 in bulk wholesale and jars, Fillmore Container. And we went to that website. They sell some ball items. You would then need to match up the item you want to buy, make sure it's one of the ones that you need to get ungated for, so that when you do the application, your invoice item matches up with the application item. If I want to get ungated in ball wide mouth mason jars, this item right here, it's got to match up exactly with Amazon's item that I'm applying for. So you would go through this website, find a matchup, and use the invoice. But how do we know that this is a good invoice? Like, how do I know Fillmore Container would work for me? I need to do a little bit more research. So first up, you're going to need to make an account. You're going to see what their wholesale options are. You want to make sure that it is a wholesale type of an account. You do a little bit more digging into this company. Maybe look at some reviews. Make sure that they are legit, that they are a real company, that you're not going to get swindled. There are a lot of bad websites out there. So you would have to start diving in and seeing if this is a good, legit wholesaler that their invoice is going to work. And even when all that is said and done, and you submit the invoice, if Amazon's not familiar with that wholesale company and they can't verify everything, they will reject you. So you want to do all of the verification that you can possibly do beforehand. Now, I would not call this 866 fill jar and whoever answers the phone go, "Hi, will your invoices work for Amazon?" No. You can ask them questions hinting around that, but I don't run out the gate with that question at first. If you build a relationship with the sales rep or whatnot, you can let them know that you are looking to build a relationship and that you want to sell this brand, yada yada, and you need to be ungated in Amazon for it. Are they familiar with that process? They might be. They may not be. You want to go in very nice with any of these companies, especially the ones I'm going to show you, because let me tell you, some people out there are not so nice, and then they ruin the relationship that company has with people that want to use them for ungating, and then all of a sudden they're not going to play that game anymore. That is going to be kind of the backstory of the DVD ungating company that I share with you. I called and talked to my sales rep, and he said hold on. Sorry again. So the representative said that because so many people were using him for DVDs, and Amazon was cracking down way more with DVDs these days, they had now moved their minimum purchase skyrocketed. It was like going to be at least $1,000 in inventory that I would need to purchase to have an invoice worthy, with the caveat of no returns, no complaints, no ifs, ands, and buts. You are locked into that purchase, rain or shine. He said they had too many people from Amazon making purchases and then returning it and being jerks about it, etc. So please don't ruin it for the rest of us. We all want to, make some money and have a good time here. And let's not make Amazon's already hard. Let's not make it any harder than it needs to be. Alright, I hope you guys can see this one. This is Eastbay. I've talked about them. I've heard rumors. Now that's the other thing you all need to know, is that I get my information from others and watching the boards and whatnot. So it may work for you, it may not work for you. You may have something going on with your account that makes it so this doesn't work, or times may change and it may not work. So I talk about Eastbay a couple of times recently for ungating in Nike. What I do when I get to a site, and I did it with the ball canning as well. I couldn't do it. I clicked this bestseller or the sort by, and it didn't give me a price range. But when I get to a brand or get to the wholesale website, I will go to pricing. I want to find the cheapest stuff, right? Because you're gonna have to buy 10 of anything. So I would rather buy 10 items on the cheaper side than 10 of the most expensive items. However, if you find something that's actually going to make you money, then you may want to pay up a little bit. I go into any ungating scenario with the idea that I'm going to be at a loss. Maybe not a whole loss, but a loss. Okay, so I'm going to click the under $24 here. I typed in Nike as... I typed in Nike soccer. You could have just done Nike, I guess. And then I priced low to high, just for an example for this website here. Or I mean for this video here. And you get these socks right here. Next thing you're going to do is go to Amazon, add a product, and you're going to find these socks. A lot of times these websites aren't going to show you a UPC code. They just don't. Some will. Most of the time you don't. So you're going to need to match it up with both the picture, the description, etc. I had first typed in Nike Academy OTC socks, and really I needed to say Nike Academy over the calf soccer socks. So you may have to play with the keywords a little bit. I went just to the Amazon regular page, like the buying page. You could do it off the seller page too. Sometimes searches are better off the buying page. You can find it a little bit easier. I don't know. Get familiar with both. I search. There's no one way that I search 100% of the time. I do a little bit of this way, a little bit of that way. You find searching some ways better than others. Okay, you're going to need to match up everything. The picture, the title, the size, everything. Because when you go to apply for that, you're going to apply for that exact one, and your invoice needs to spell out the exact item. So your invoice needs to say Nike Academy, over the calf, socks, red, white, size, whatever, medium, etc. for the ASIN you're going to apply to get ungated for. That was my Nike example for you guys. Now we're going to talk about a Frontier example. I talked about that again in the video last week, and my example was cinnamon. And that's because I've heard that Frontier ground cinnamon will work for ungating in grocery. So you go to Frontier Co-op, you got to create an account. You want to create a wholesale account. Some wholesale companies are going to require you to have a reseller permit, have an EIN, have a minimum order. There's going to, each one is different. So you kind of want to find one that doesn't have a super high minimum order. A lot of my wholesalers, their minimum is anywhere from $100, $250, $500, sometimes $1,000 for minimum orders. Sometimes it's a quantity. Sometimes you can buy so much and get free shipping. Anyhow, so I create an account, and I can't remember Frontier Co-op what they require off the top of my head, but a lot of times they're going to want to see a reseller permit number so that you can get tax-free purchase and or an EIN or something to get that account created. And it may take a day or two. Some accounts take a while to get approved, and by a while I have one that's going on 2 weeks, and I've had as little as 30 minutes to get in. Sometimes it's instant to get in. Okay, enough about all of. So same thing, I went into this, I typed in cinnamon, I typed in, let's see here, it's just best match, but you may want to do spice and see what the cheapest is. Frontier ground cinnamon, 0.5, come on, my presentation keeps coming up, but it's blocking it. At the bottom there, it says it's $1.99. Okay, I can get 10 of those, and it's under $20 ungating for groceries. Really, guys, you should be all over this. This is a very cheap ungating if it works. So I will then go over to your Amazon add a product, Frontier Cinnamon 0.5. Try that out. If that doesn't work, you can try Cinnamon 0.5, but it came up. Frontier Cinnamon 0.5. Sales rank is pretty junk. I mean, for grocery, I wouldn't buy this to sell at all. $412. So for this product, I would either group it up and sell it on eBay or use it myself. Get ready to have some cinnamon items, because this is not going to sell really. You're going to be out the $20, but it is totally worth it to get Ungated in grocery, right? So you got to weigh that. Now with the sock example, I mean, if you play soccer, great, but you need to have an out for those socks if you don't plan on wearing them. But you know, hey, those maroon socks look pretty good if you want to do that. So always plan on your out. For this cinnamon, like I said, I would, if it was me, I would sell the socks and I'd group up this cinnamon and sell them over on eBay, make a little bit of money back, and or use the products. When I was looking at DVDs, I was pricing them out and seeing how much I could sell them over on eBay and how long it would take me to get rid of that sheer amount of quantity of DVDs. And it was, you could usually break even or, you know, be a little bit of at a loss. Okay, so now we've matched up. We have the exact item right here. Yes, the picture matches up. You want to make sure the picture matches up. If it's got new packaging or anything like that, move on, get something different, because whoever's looking at your application, you don't want any case for deterrence. So the name matches up, the size matches up, the picture matches up, everything matches up. This UPC should match up when you get the product in. So we have a match. You're going to select the new once you get the product, and instead of sell this product, it will have an apply to sell button, and you will hit that apply to sell button and use the invoice to get Ungated for that guy. Okay, now the fun part. Here is all of, and these will be down in the description too, so you don't have to, you could just go down and grab the websites down there as well. But here is all my rumors of acceptable vendors. I myself have not tried most of these websites for ungating purposes, but they are all very public sites. So if they get a slew of people abusing them, they will shut down and not be available for us anymore. So don't. There's a saying, don't poop where you eat. Please do not mess it up for the rest of us. I have used EE distribution for ungating, I think it was WWE products, and somebody, thank you, commented on the last video that they do have Funko Pops there, so I might try and do an ungating with Funko Pops with them. We'll see. I've got to go look at their products and see how cheap I can get Funko Pops and how much that ungating is going to cost me. So if you are like totally gated and everything, start off with the cheaper ones first to get the hang of what you need to do. The Frontier Cinnamon that we walked through was going to be, what, a $20 ungating for groceries. I also heard Frontier has Burt's Bees, which could get you both the, it's either health or beauty, and then the brand Burt's Bees for an ungate. The clothing, Eastbay, man, I've just, again, heard rumor that they have worked for some of the bigger brands. Same with Bali for Hanes B2B. You've got to set up those accounts, find your product, match it up, make the purchase, get the invoice, submit the invoice, cross your fingers, and hope it gets accepted. And once it does, then hallelujah, you're open to new sourcing ideas and possibilities. But always have a way out with anything you're going to buy. Go into this with the knowledge that you're either going to lose money or at best break even, and have a way to sell those items besides on Amazon so that you can not, recoup some of your capital. I hope this has helped you guys out. I like to make these videos to make it easier to sell on Amazon, because I myself have learned so much from the community and I want to give back, etc., and help everybody out and answer your questions. And I hope this was a kind of a good overview for you guys from start to finish on the ungating process for Amazon. If you like these videos, give me a thumbs up down below. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them. And I would love to hear if you tried something and it worked. That helps me out. That helps you out. post that you had, good luck, because these are not items that we're all competing for. We should all be trying to help each other out and build the reseller community as a good place to be that is welcoming and helpful. Alright guys, I gotta go get some more coffee and get my day going. Take care.